Alrighty, guys. What a time to hit $1 million liquidity on the Cash Star LP on Retro. Welcome, everybody, to this week's AMA, and we're starting off with an absolute banger with that liquidity uh, there on Retro. That is quite a milestone to reach. And if you'll notice, there is still 39% APR for $1 million of liquidity. That is how much is available there through bribes. Obviously, we have the turn of the epoch coming, so we'll see how things go with that. But thanks to the way Cash works, there are auto bribes from its rebasing, which is incredible. And it's 50-50 pool, so that's $500,000 worth of cash contributing to auto bribes for that pool. So you can at the very least expect that there will be some votes on that pool consistently thanks to the cash auto bribes, which is a really cool implementation by Retro. So awesome to see. Great way to start out the AMA. So yeah. As always, guys, drop questions in the AMA chat as they come up, especially if I'm talking about something and you want something further clarified or addressed. Please be sure to let us know. We actually had, oh, I take it back. I was going to say we had 0 AMA questions, but I'm just blind and didn't see that there are a few that came our way. So that's good. We can adjust to those. Gym update. I guess when there's a good update to give. Thanks for that, though. But I did want to jump in. There's different things I wanted to cover, of course, with what's gone on over the past week. Different questions that I've seen throughout the chats. Some people asking, some confusion, this sort of things that I think are worthy of clarification. So let's jump into that. First and foremost, the news that kind of puts a sour taste in all our mouths is the news that the concentrated liquidity vaults managed by Kronos were affected by a vulnerability. If you saw that announcement, we responded, of course, immediately and were able to patch that vulnerability. And thankfully, no funds were compromised. So basically, immediately after the potential exploit was reported, we immediately responded and we're able to deal with that issue to ensure that the safety of course, your guys, our users' assets were secure. We are relieved, of course, and happy to report, as I said, that there was no damage done, no fund losses, and we also initiated a XXL speed audit as a proactive measure to provide an additional layer of safety in our system's security. So thank you to our community members who reported these potential issues, as that collaborative spirit is really what makes the Sphere community strong and resilient, and we really appreciate that. And of course, we appreciate your continued patience and support. Prion is now listed, moving to more positive things. Prion is now listed on DBank, which is a platform that allows users to track all of their assets and strategies in one place. And it also allows users to follow other wallets and keep track of what other wallets are doing. So basically, this means that users who follow other wallets might actually end up spotting Prion and decide to use it as well, which can help spread the knowledge of Prion's capabilities. Basically, we are trying, making sure that we can get all of these different tactics and techniques in place such that we can spread the news of what Prion is capable of doing. As of course, I'm sure you all know at this point, there are 3 collateral options on 2 chains for Prion. We have WMatic on Polygon and ETH, as well as wrapped staked ETH or WST ETH on Arbitrum. So already there, you can continue to enjoy the value accrual that comes with staking on the Ethereum ecosystem through wrapped staked ETH, and at the same time collateralize and take out a loan. We will, of course, continue expanding into more chains, as well as adding many more collateral options that should be quite interesting. For example, Sim had mentioned we're in talks with Frax Finance about different collateral options from their protocols. For example, staked Frax ETH or SFRX ETH. So with all that, I have seen some questions about, what is the use of collateralizing? So I did want to take some time and talk a little bit about that. So basically the idea is that if you have assets that you wish to hold on to because, for example, you anticipate their price will rise over time, such as WMATIC or WETH, instead of letting that asset go unused and sitting in your wallet, you can place it as collateral to borrow STAR. And this then allows you to farm and earn yield in the meantime while still having access to those underlying assets, the wrapped ETH, the wrapped MATIC. So if you take that STAR and deposit it into a stable liquidity pool or into the stability pool within Prion, then you're going through a relatively safer yield strategy where you're just looking to earn stable yield on your loan. If, however, you swap that STAR for more assets, more volatile assets such as WMATIC or WETH, this is known as leveraging, and it adds an additional layer of risk. And it's very important to recognize that. So there are certainly uses for leveraging. It just comes with additional risk. So imagine you've collateralized $1,000 of wrapped MATIC and you borrow $500 of STAR. Let's say you then swap that STAR for $500 of wrapped MATIC. So you're now leveraging your position. You've turned $1,000 of wrapped MATIC into $1,500 of wrapped MATIC. But then the price of wrapped MATIC tanks and drops in half. And so now let's say you're left with $250 worth of wrapped MATIC. So now not only can you not fully pay back your loan, but because the value of your collateral dropped, you are also at increased risk of liquidation. So this is why it is very important to be very mindful of how you use your loan. When it is used effectively, it can of course significantly amplify the yield potential of your assets. But that does come with additional risks, which is why it is important to be aware of all of these different things. So as I mentioned, and thankfully, STAR currently does have utility within the stability pools on Arbitrum and on Polygon. Please bear in mind that these are separate vaults, meaning that if you have STAR deposited in the Arbitrum stability pool, then you will not be eligible to earn liquidated collateral on Polygon, and vice versa. They are specific to the chain that they are on for the stability pools. As I'm sure everyone has seen now, and Oxy has posted and leaned into as well, is that STAR has many different yield incentives on Retro and Chronos, with more incentives to come. So as we started out this AMA with, on Retro alone, we have over $1 million of STAR liquidity in one vault, earning double-digit APRs, in part due to the regular bribes incoming automatically through the cash rebasing, as I mentioned. So super cool, super powerful. You may have also noticed a new dually bribed STAR LP on Retro, paired with TUSDC of Tetu, who has contributed to the available bribes for that pair. So that's pretty cool as well. Starting to expand these different incentive options, these different liquidity options for different people, different uses, different interests, and different levels of yield. Did want to mention, it's important to remember that Retro is a VE33 DEX on Polygon, and it has O-Retro emission tokenomics. So as your liquidity is staked, you will be earning O-Retro emissions. similar to the idea of with Prion and Oprion. You can use cash to redeem O Retro to Retro, or you can zap O Retro directly into VE Retro to earn some of the astronomical bribes that are available right now for VE Retro voters. Chronos then is also a VE33 DEX on Arbitrum, and they have a unique spin on tokenomics as well with their maturity adjusted LPs, meaning that the longer your LP is staked, the higher your yield. And yes, we are aware of the issues that people are having with depositing Star into the Chronos concentrated liquidity pool on Dyson, and we are working on it. In part, this is due to a very high demand for Star and people swapping through the pool to access Star. Welcome, T1. Late is better than never. All right, any questions about that? Pause briefly for dramatic effect. And mainly to drink water. All right, I do see some questions coming through in AMA questions, and I will get to those. Just a couple of things left to go through on my agenda, and then we'll hop into those. Unfortunately, Oxy, I did not have time to make tea when I got home, but I may well have a nice chamomile tea before I go to bed. Thanks for asking, though. Did I at least wash my hands? Of course I wash my hands. All right. One thing I wanted to clarify, because I did see this come up quite a few times as well in the chats, is this kind of confusion about the borrow fee versus interest. Because some people see the borrow fee and think that it's interest. So it is different. There is no interest on the loan. There is a borrow fee that is 0.5% of the amount borrowed that increases linearly up to the 0.5% after 180 days. And the minimum is in that linear acceleration is 7 days. So say you open a position and close out the next day, you will still have to pay what would have been worth 7 days within that linear increase, which goes up to but not above 0.5% of your borrowed amount after 180 days. So it's a small fee, of course, 0.5%. It does not go above that. And when you go to close off your loan, you will need to have that 0.5% amount of Star to be able to close out the loan. But anything that you do not have to pay within that linear increase will be returned back to you. The amount of Star will be returned back to you. So I know it takes a minute to kind of understand that process. So I can certainly understand why people would have some confusion about that, but it's just important to clarify that it is not interest on the loan itself. It is simply the loan fee that increases slowly over time. It's just another way that we want to try to expand access to this DeFi system, such that users there's a low barrier to entry, there's a low amount of fee, and that fee is going to slowly increase over time, but will not increase past 180 days. So you can have your loan open for any duration of time past 180 days. That fee will not increase. All right, I think I have beat this horse enough, so let me move on. I did see that there has been some suggestions for a page on Prion that actually showcases places where you can yield farm Star, and we think that this is an excellent idea that we do plan to incorporate. So much appreciated for that suggestion. We are thinking along the same lines. I've also seen some questions about liquidations. So please remember that if you get liquidated, you will lose your collateral plus the liquidation fee, which is built into your loan. And then you are able to keep any borrowed star. So this then also comes into play if you leverage, because you can also deposit collateral, borrow star, take that star, turn it into more of the asset you deposited, deposit that collateral, and then take out more star. But again, that risk is then amplified because you are, if you are liquidated, you will lose all the collateral and will only be left with whatever star, for instance, that you have in your wallet. So just different things to keep in mind. Important to understand these different use cases and risks. Glad we're having fun in the chat. All right. Remember also that this is the first phase of Preon's launch. So there is still a lot more planned for Preon during this phase. And then during the second phase, which as we've mentioned, will include the launch of the Preon token, which will involve its whitelist and pre-sale, with more information to come on that when the time comes. That second phase will also introduce VE Preon and O Preon, as well as Preon's liquidity gauges, which will accept Star LP tokens to then further incentivize Star's liquidity. So, really the goal is to create as much incentivization for Star LPs as possible. And the whole ecosystem is set up very well to be able to do that, thanks to everything we've done up to this point. And hopefully we'll continue this way as we move forward based on what we have planned for the ecosystem. So really cool. And I think most people can have a grasp of that, which is really cool. You guys are pretty awesome within the community, especially those who show up to these AMAs. So I really appreciate it, and I know that the rest of the team does as well. Also, guys, this is your fun reminder to please double check your YL sphere to see if you either need to relock or withdraw your sphere from the earnings pool. We're coming up on the next epoch turn in just over 2 hours from now. We are also aware that users are having issues compounding their YL sphere, and trust me, it makes me sad as well, because I typically compound once every couple days. But rest assured that the team is working on it, and in the meantime, it is still possible to claim your blue chip token rewards and then manually compound as you best see fit. And using Balancer typically will provide the lowest slippage, as the liquidity pool for Sphere Wmatic is indeed on Balancer. So just keep that in mind. All right. Another pause to drink water. Yeah. I've decided to build that weekly reminder in because I just think that's important. Any questions leading up or for anything I've discussed so far, or anything that's happened this week? Oh snap! Thank you, Oxy. I did forget to talk about that. So if you participated in Preon's Zeely, you can now mint your role-based NFTs. And I'm so glad that you guys are finally able to see the artwork that Grom put together. So please go and claim your NFTs based on your Zeely participation for those NFTs. And again, I think Grom did an excellent job with that artwork. Even with the progression of the artwork based on the tier, I think was done spot on. Grom for president. Yo mama fat, when BPT's collateral, man, when the time is right. No. When's not allowed, but when. I know, I am also very eager for the BPT collaterals, but it's just one of those things. It's a practice in patience, unfortunately, and we need to make sure everything is running correctly and have everything approved through Balancer and Aura before we can push that. So I cannot give a time, but I am also in the same boat as wanting it sooner than later. It's a great username. All right. And just a moment here. Okay. So I'm just taking a look at the different questions in AMA questions, seeing where I am with that. All right. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, guys. Let's get to in chat now. I'm sorry about that. Mouse Price, could you tell us more about the use case of NFTs? Price, I'm getting savage. You're six. Yeah. The NFTs are kind of like a verification or validation of your Discord role that you achieved through Zeely. And kind of as we're able to add more use case to them, we certainly will. I see a lot of people typing, that's why I'm kind of pausing. There it is, Pandu. That's what I was waiting for. Yes, so as we move forward in Prion's launch, I should say, more information will come out with respect to how we can best utilize these NFTs. But as Pandu mentioned, might have something to do with whitelist. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. All right. Let's catch up then. I see what happened. Okay. So I'm trying to read through these AMA questions, and now I'm finally realizing why I was so confused was that I was not checking the date appropriately. So there's one question we do have here from Iro. I took out a small loan of about $200. I tried to pay $50 yesterday, but it did not let me. It says is below the minimum borrow. This means I can't pay the loan in parts if it falls below 180. No. So I think what you're probably doing, I'm not sure if you're here in the AMA IRO, but hopefully you can get to this. But what I think is happening is it sounds like you are trying to close out your loan, in which case the only way to close out the loan is to pay back everything. That meaning the $180 minimum borrow, basically whatever you borrowed, plus the relevant borrow fee. You have to pay all of that back. Anything left within the borrow fee that you aren't going to be charged within that linear window will be sent back to you. So for $180 minimum borrow, 0.5% is like what, 90 cents. So if you try to close out your loan now, you're going to get most of that back. But to pay back part of your loan, you are able to do that. You just have to go to the Adjust Loan menu. And there you will see options to like deposit more collateral, take out some collateral, pay back some star, remove some star, or take out more star. So basically, to pay back some of your loan, all you have to do is go to that Adjust Position menu and go to where it says payback star. I can't remember the exact terminology. But you'll want to go to that part and pay back some of your star. You're not able to close out your loan unless you have the full amount of star. Oh, you are here. Excellent. Does that answer your question? Feel free in AMA chat to type, since you won't have a time lock on that. Decrease debt would be what you'd want to do. And that's in the Adjust position. Oh, I see. Okay. Now I understand your question. Yes, so the way Prion is built, to have an open position, you have to maintain a minimum net debt of 180 star. So meaning that the lowest you can decrease your debt to is 180 star. In order to go further than that, you will have to close out your position. Yes, indeed. Great, great question, and I'm glad we could address that. Because I can definitely see that causing some confusion from others as well. All right, T1, I have a general question. Is it bad that I use my hardware wallet for buying and selling different coins? Should I use my hardware wallets only for holding my coins and use a hot wallet for buying and selling? And Team Claradora, it is best practice to use your hardware wallets for holding assets and not interacting with dApps with them, which I would agree with. I only interact with dApps in this ecosystem and balancer, revoke contracts. Yeah, it kind of depends on your level of, levels of safety that you want to take. The absolute safest would be to use like a multi-signature wallet to send and receive tokens from, and then only interact with dApps with a hardware wallet, for example. That would probably be one of the highest levels of security that you could use. But generally, whenever you're using a wallet to interact with dApps, you're introducing that wallet to additional risk. So I guess that I hope that I hope that that kind of addresses what you're trying to get at with your general question there. Yes, indeed. Good question, though. And yeah, as Pandu pointed out, to kind of piggyback on Iro's question, is that a lot of other CDPs have a much higher minimum debt. So for Prion to have $180, again, the goal is to try to kind of expand access to these tools to individuals who maybe have a few $100s that they are able to collateralize. As Ultra is saying now, to piggyback on T1's question about hardware wallets, for your long-term cold storage wallet, never do any approvals with that hardware wallet is the safest practice. Which does kind of come to a you have to kind of make a decision with that with respect to Sphere, for example, because in order to stake Sphere into the yield pool, you will have to approve the use of Sphere for that pool. Either way, regularly going through and revoking approvals is a very good practice. If anyone here uses Rabby Wallet, shout out Pandu, it makes that process very easy. So consider that. But ultimately, yes, the less you use your wallet to interact with dApps, the safer it is. 7 hardware wallets. Dang. Realistically, realistically, it is fair that the more that the safer you are, and the more you have your assets spread out across different wallets, then the less likely it is for you to get burned, right? If everything is within the same wallet and you're interacting with all different dApps, it does increase your risk of encountering issues. You do bring up a fair point, T1. It creates kind of a inconvenience where you have to send assets back and forth. Gas fees for sending to and from other wallets are very small, to be fair. So I would consider that. But at the same time, you're kind of paying inconvenience in exchange for higher security. Right, so safety outweighing the inconvenience of that. These are kind of like not necessarily advanced safety tactics, but it's almost more of like a best practices. Yeah, for Rabby users, there's a button right there in the menu for approvals. For others, you can use revoke.cash, which revoke also has I believe it's an extension, which will also pop up whenever you try to do a new approval on any platform. Say like you happen to use Balancer to swap USDC. Revoke's extension will pop up, basically a firewall, as Pandu says, to say like, hey, are you sure you actually want to do this approval? So that's another way to kind of enhance some of your security. That is exactly right, Claradora. With self custody comes great responsibility. Well said. Now you have me questioning my security approaches. Gonna have to Start saving up for another few hardware wallets. All right. True, Discord roles have been changed. We are kind of working on restructuring, reorganizing the Discord channel once again, just to kind of continuously improve our workflow and the just kind of the user flow as well within Discord. So you may see some changes within that as well. How is protocol revenue? So we are still working on our quarterly report, which will be released in due time. Yeah, unfortunately, the multi-farm page through the Treasury dashboard is inaccurate. It was a good effort on multi-farm's side, but it's really kind of fallen short for us and for users and for you guys, the community, which is why we've now moved to the quarterly reports. Frankly. So recall, Diablo, that quarterly reports are commonplace in general finance. Having a ongoing active treasury report is kind of an additional step above that. And this is through a third party who at the time was the best in the space that we could possibly ask to build us a treasury dashboard. But the reality was that multi-farm just couldn't keep up basically with all of the different activities of the treasury. So that is why we're ultimately moving to generate a more transparent and accurate report. And there is also a disclaimer on the treasury page that it is indeed inaccurate. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And then also having to explain every time that these are inaccurate and this is different, it can definitely set some users off base, which is why we want those quarterly reports. And I think that's going to be much more helpful for people who want to see that. One sphere meet and greet with the team. I would personally love that. I think that would be super cool. But I don't know, likely very far in the future, if at all. And there's no guarantee of who would come or who wouldn't come. And I don't know, something like that would have to coincide with a big a conference or something of that sort. But I don't think anything like that is in the pipeline right now. And where exactly? That's why I'm thinking, it'd have to be through a conference of some sort. I'm certainly for that. I think that would be really fun, really cool. But that's not something that's in the pipeline right now, sadly. All right. So I've gone through everything I was looking to go through, and I feel like we are just on the cusp of significantly derailing yet again, which is great. So I'll take this time now to kind of poke and see if there are any more questions. One Sphere Island, indeed. One Sphere Airline, too soon? Oh yeah, full speed derailing. I agree. Well, I don't want to derail too much. I've gotten too much in the habit of doing that at the end of these AMAs, and I kind of want to bring it back in, especially as things are kind of starting to ramp up within the ecosystem. So Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here, contributing in the chats, asking your questions, expressing your concerns, and really enjoy hearing and talking with you guys through this. It is all good. It is all good. If you do have questions in the future, be sure to let us know in any of the different chats. There's the AMA questions as well. Diablo, as I mentioned, that will be out with the Treasury quarterly report. But what I can say is that with the ability to collateralize on Prion, it has the Treasury has already seen the benefit from that. Well, one report. I wish I could tell you, but when questions are not my forte, as others could tell you, the best I can do is Thune. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a very reasonable question, you know. Um, imagine the treasure got liquidated. We will ensure that that does not happen. But yes, imagine that would not be fun. Hey, it'd be great for VE Prion though, right? All right. Thanks, CryptoFat, for addressing that a bit more as well. All right, y'all. Thanks again. Look forward to next time. Always remember that you guys matter each for who you are, and have a great rest of your day. Take care now, y'all. Bye bye.